Hi everyone, welcome back to my series of doing your hair yourself at home to stay at home tutorials. Thanks so much for all the really lovely comments, so encouraging, please keep them coming. Today the look I would like to do would be something like this one that I did for Emma Roberts during New York Fashion Week, and also a similar look on Saoirse Ronan for a red carpet event. So looking at these images, you can see that there's a deep side part, a little volume into the top, and then just a really subtle hint of a wave, but still keeping the bluntness of that bob. What we need to recreate this yourself at home would be your hairdryer, would be a straightening iron, a wide tooth comb. Love a wide tooth comb, as you guys know, because I like to have something that's really free and doesn't pull the hair, especially when it's wet, because it's really susceptible to damage when it's wet. So a wide tooth comb is a great one to use when the hair's wet. And brushes, I'm going to use a couple of different brushes. I'm going to use my Mason Pearson. This is the junior size. I'm going to use the Denman and possibly a round brush. Now, how do you decide which brush to use? It's really your hair texture and the final result. So what are we trying to do with the final result? The blow dry is the preparation for then to put those waves into the hair. So the preparation I need for that is just a little volume into the hair, smooth, and a tiny bevel. I don't want it too straight, because that will then be a little bit more difficult to work with, and I don't want it to have too much of a bevel to it, because then again that's going to take away from the final result. So which brush do I use? Well, it's all about the bevel of the brush. If you look at these three together, the one that has the sort of middle bevel would be this one, which I mean by how much, you know, the arch of the brush. That's what that will give me in my hair. This one will give me much more, and this one will give me a straighter look. So prepping, what do I need in the hair? Couple of things. They're both ORIBE products, actually, the first ones that I'm going to use. This one is the Royal Blowout, which will protect the hair from heat, and then the Maximista styling spray will give me a little bit of volume. So those two will go in first, and that's what I'm going to dry into the hair. So I'm going to just put those in now, as you can see. First one to go in would be the Royal Blowout, and I'm just going to mist that through my hair. Really more sort of through the lengths and ends, because that's the bit that's going to get the most heat, and also that is the bit that's the driest to start off with. And then the Maximista, a little bit in at the root, because I want to, and also on that front piece I want to get a little bit of volume in through there. And then I'm just going to do a regular application, but lifting. Your products you should really section as you go along with your products, because then the better the application, the better the results will be. You'll be happier. A lot of times if you don't, you're not putting the product on in the correct way, then you're going to find that you're not going to be super happy with the results. So a little bit under at the root there, and that will be enough. So a lot of people find it very difficult to get a parting, and the easiest way to do it is to comb it back and then push it, and it will actually fall where your parting falls naturally. So I'm doing my hair grows this way, so that's why I'm doing it across that way. But where do you put it? Now, the easy way to do it is to look at the arch of your eyebrow and then put the comb straight up there. You see? You just go straight up, and then that's where your parting will be. And the part should go slightly up towards the crown, so slightly towards the middle. So here's your parting going like this. If you do it too much down like this, you're going to find if this piece you're trying to make it go over here, you're forcing it, and it will actually keep falling down, which is not good for me on a red carpet, because you don't want hair to be going in the wrong direction. So, and also it's just the natural form of the head. So then if I want to, I can bring this really smooth, bring that behind my ear, that will stay in place. This is naturally going this way, and then I'll get this volume here just because it's a deep side parting. So for the blow dry, start by tousle drying, removing as much moisture, still leave a little dampness in the hair, and direction it. So you're putting it in the direction that you want it to finish. Here I'm lifting up the top to give a little bit of volume. The brush will help to smooth the cuticles, and then snapping it back into that wave at the front, because that's the final wave that we want at the end of the style. but in the same direction that you actually want it to end up. Rough drying here or removing some more moisture with the tension of the brush and the dryer at the same time. And then sectioning, try and keep your sections as clean as you can. It just means you're not catching little hairs, which can be painful and also just make it more difficult. Smoothing down as you go, keep the dryer and the brush kind of in tandem. They're together, they're sort of working as one unit, even though they're two separate things. And make sure the ends are smooth and they go in the direction that you want them to go. The top section, the same thing, using that tension, that little twist at the top to give you that tension, and then working down together as one, smoothing, pop behind your ear, and then go back to the other side. Keeping the brush working, sort of twisting so you're not beveling too much and working all the way, the dryer comes all the way down and off the bottom actually. The top section, using the brush now to smooth that cuticle all the way through to the ends together with the dryer. Turning it around a little in the front because it's got more color in the front, the hair's a little more, the cuticles are a little bit more rough. So I'm just going back in to make sure those cuticles are super smooth, but not too much heat. You go to the back, brush from one way, then down, then the other way. This is a great way to get the hair to go under when it's short and you can't get the brush in there. So doing one way and the other, the bevel of your head will actually help you to get that hair to go under. Sectioning, try and make your sections as clean as possible. Do it by feel and, you know, not thicker than like an inch, because then there's not too much hair in each section. Otherwise then you're just giving yourself a sort of a harder job. It takes longer actually that way. Top section connecting the sort of middle side pieces to the back, all by feel, and just putting that brush down the hair. Connecting here, the middle area with the back, and if some of the ends look like they need smoothing, just go back in and smooth those down a little bit. Your blow dry is finished. Get it just as smooth as you can with your really deep side part, and start to train this side with, as it's a little warm still, you can start to train this side to just come across. So now I'm going to put the waves in. I'm going to use the GHD straightening iron, and the reason I like this for this type of thing is because it does have this bevel to it. And as you're going down the hair, you'll see that it's still, as you go through it will be warm. So then when you bend the iron around, this just helps to get rid of any of those ridges that sometimes when you're doing waves with a straightening iron, the knack is to try and keep it moving as you go along. Just as I did with the blow dry, I'm going to start in the very front. Now, the reason I'm starting with in the very front and the top piece, because this is the piece that is going to guide everything else. Like, where I put the iron in and where I create that wave, this piece is going to go all the way around the head from here. So kind of a way to think about it is, what do you want the end to do? Would you want the end to go under, or do you want the end to go out? So in this style, the end is actually kind of coming slightly out. So if I'm not going to do it right now, I'm just going to sort of show you. So if you go in here and then you go out here, then the end will be coming away from the face. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it back up and I'm going to go in here and holding my hair. We're not going for too much of a wave. It's a very subtle wave, like super subtle actually. And then bending around. This is so much more difficult doing it on your own hair than it is doing it on someone else. I think also because I'm just so used to doing it actually on other people. So for me to go and do it on myself, it is very difficult. Okay, so going more in, I'm just going to create a little bit more, and then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to bevel that like that, and then just let those ends go. So you can see it's starting to come in, and I'm going to just work through with the top section. So that's the bit that I've just done. And then I'm going to take the next top section, because what you're going to find is the underneath is shorter. So you have to do slightly less waving because you just have less hair. Make sure you go in, you go out, and then you go around. I'm just going to flick it, yeah. So now what do we do with the underneath pieces? Because the underneath we haven't put as much, we haven't done anything with that, right? So we want that to go the same way as this piece is going here. So all I need to do is just go out, bevel away, and then flick it up. So I can clip up this piece here. So all I'm going to do with this piece is I'm going to hold it away and then bevel it out. And that is all I need to do to recreate the same wave that I have on the top. You see how that goes? And with the underneath pieces, you can go in with the iron and you can just flip those underneath pieces. Okay, so this side, same thing. You want to go in, around, and then out at the bottom. And same thing with the next section. You want to go in, around, and then out. Right? Once you've done those two, you're going to do the same thing. So on the underneath, I'm just trying to get it to come out and then flip. So let's just take this piece away that we just did. And this piece, I'm just getting it to go out and then flip. That movement there, that's a little steep. Let me just correct that a little bit. So a little bit more round and then around like that. So I just kind of took it out a tiny bit. But as I say, if it's a little steep with your, if the angle's a little steep, don't worry, because it just literally comes out in seconds. Next piece, because remember it's shorter, so we're just going around and then we're flipping. That's all you have to do. And I just missed a little piece, so we get that like that. Okay, so next piece comes down. And this is the piece that you're going to actually tuck behind the ear. So that's the result that you want. It is obviously a little trial and error, especially when you're doing your own hair. So it takes a little practice. I do understand that. Around and then bevel the end. Right, so a little bit more of the round and a little bit less of the bevel. There we go. This is where I would use my Mason Pearson, because it's that lovely smoothing brush. So that's when I would use that, just to make sure that I have that hair all down. And then with the underneath, I just want to catch a couple of these pieces here that are still a little bit longer, and they're not, I missed them, so I'm just going to bevel them under like that. And the easiest thing I think with this style to do on the hair that you can't see is to do it by feel and just to flip it out. To literally just flip it out like that. And I'm going to do the one top section I can lift up, and I can do it like that. Why don't we do one piece here which will connect everything from the crown. So let's do one piece. And we want to just do the same thing. We're creating the same movement in here as well. So I went in first, then I went around, and then I went out. So how will that, okay, so I'm going to go in here like this. I'm going to go around, and then I'm going to go out. And that should, you can feel, yes, I can feel that that is the right, so that should give you the same movement through the back. You might find that you get a few frizzies just on the top, and if you do, then I'm going to use a little bit of my Essence Absolute, which is the same cream I used on the ends, and I'm just going to smooth a little bit of that down like that, so you don't, just to keep those frizzies together, and then you can use the rest of this onto the ends, and then use your Mason Pearson brush to just brush through, if you like, just to bring that all together. Brush from underneath. And if you've got those frizzies, and then you can smooth down anything that you see on the back. Just bringing that in there. And that's really the look. If you want to seal it with a little hairspray, I got my KERASTASE hairspray, you can use a little bit of that, which also then you can smooth down some more of those pieces. You can lift this a little bit as well. If you want to get a little bit more volume in there, you can seal that wave a little bit if you want as well. You can just go underneath just to bring that out a little bit, underneath this side to bring that out a little bit like that. So this is the final result. Show you the side angles and so you can see a little bit more. I hope you like it. A little bit more drama for maybe a date night, a staying in date night, with the deep side part, no volume on this side, and then maximum kind of fullness on through that side. Stay tuned. Be well.